Hello and welcome to Life with Jane. Oh, it's the start of another week, so another week of my Monday ramblings or my Monday chats. I know a lot of you have turned around and said how much you enjoy them, and I must admit I do as well. It gives me, during the week I sort of think, oh, that will make an interesting conversation, or oh, that'll make an interesting conversation. And this week has been, or rather last week, because it's coming up for this week, last week has been two really interesting times, and one coming up. Yesterday was Mother's Day. In the UK, I know Mother's Day around the world, in America, Australia, other places, falls on a different day. In the UK, Mother's Day was yesterday, so Mothering Sunday. And it's a time of reflection for our own mothers, that a lot of us, I know, our mothers are no longer with us. And my little mum is, and I always say my little mum because my mum was tiny, and I always call her my little mum. And she passed away now, 15, 16 years ago, so quite a long time. But I miss her all the time, and I was turning around and chatting with my youngest son and daughter-in-law and family yesterday on Mother's Day, which I'll tell you about in a minute. And I was saying that I used to give my mother a little miniature rose every single year. So you used to be able to buy beautiful little miniature roses, and all beautifully wrapped up for Mother's Day. And then she would put it in the garden, and every year she would put it in the garden, it would grow. So by the time, probably 10, 15 years, every year I bought her a different colour and a different miniature rose, and every year she put it in the garden. And she had, in the end, a rose bed that was just full of all of these miniature roses that I got her every year for Mothering Sunday. And I thought that that was rather a nice thing. My family, I have a lovely phone call, text message from one of my sons, and my other son invited me round, and daughter-in-law family invited me round for a Sunday roast, which was fantastic. My youngest son is an amazing cook, and my goodness, I had a plate that was literally piled high with one of his signature dishes is a 3-cheese cauliflower cheese. So cauliflower with a cheese sauce with 3 different cheeses in. Oh, that was delicious. And 2 different meats. We had chicken and we had ham, and all the roast potatoes, roast parsnips, roast carrots. It was just absolutely delicious. And was lovely, and sat with my granddaughter and grandsons, and just sat round and had a lovely family meal, which was delicious. So I was truly blessed. And in fact, I will show you, I got a beautiful, I've taken it out of its wrapper because again, I can put it in the garden, but a beautiful pot of chrysanthemums. So hold on a second and I shall show you. Here we go. Now, I don't know whether you can, let me stand up and see if I can do it down sort of that way. You can't sort of see the tops of them, but they are absolutely beautiful chrysanthemums in a pot. Let me turn them round and then you can see where they've started to grow in the sun. Look at the colour of those, aren't they gorgeous? And they were wrapped with a beautiful bow, which has literally just fallen off because I've tied it round the pot. And I can put that, I'm just going to put them back. I can have that out in the garden, and will grow. And I don't know I think chrysanthemums are perennials, which means that they come up every year. So I think I should put them in a nice sort of pot in the garden, and hopefully they will come up every year, because the hydrangeas come up every year. So I think the chrysanthemums will as well. So really, really lucky, and chocolates and a card, and so yes, I was lovely. And as I say, you know, it's a time for, if we're lucky enough to have family and children, then we as the women, we celebrate Mother's Day because our children will celebrate their mum, which is us. And if we don't have children, or if we are men, because we have Father's Day, which comes up at a different time of year, we celebrate and remember our own mums that are maybe no longer with us, and all of the lovely times and memories that we have with them. So I always spend a few moments in the morning with my cup of coffee, sitting remembering my lovely mum. I remember her at all sorts of times of the year, but particularly on Mothering Sunday, it's a time to remember, but to reflect and remember, I always say, in a positive way. For me, I was talking to a friend the other day, and we were talking about whether our glass is half full or half empty, and whether we have a positive outlook on life or a slightly more negative, pessimistic look on life. And I was saying, I always try and have a positive outlook on life. You will find that all of my vlogs, video logs, blogs, all of those sorts of things, my chattings and things to you, are always positive, because there's enough doom and gloom in the world and in our lives at different times, that I feel that I don't want to dwell on those sorts of things. I like to try and be as positive as I can, and I try and spread positivity as well. It's always nice to look at the good things that have happened during the day, rather than maybe one or two bad things. It's almost natural, what do we call it? Human nature is what I was going to say. It's human nature that quite often we will turn round and spend a lot of time talking about bad things that have happened, rather than focusing on the good things. So you will never hear me talking about bad things, nasty things, things that aren't particularly positive. I will always try and have a positive outlook on most things, because it makes me feel good inside, and hopefully that spreads on and makes you feel good inside as well, and you're more interested in listening to nice positive things rather than negative things. So there we go. So the next thing was, what day is it tomorrow? So today is the last day in March, and tomorrow is April Fool's Day. And April Fool's Day traditionally is the day where, and I think it was, I don't know how much truth there is in this, but it used to be that you could fool somebody up until midday, and then after midday you couldn't fool them. So there's been all sorts of different things. I don't know if any of you remember, on the television years and years ago, there was a famous news event broadcast where they were talking about a spaghetti tree. And this was a tree that grew in the garden and had spaghetti on it. Now, of course, it was an April Fool's. What they'd done is they'd obviously cooked some spaghetti and then hung it over all of the branches of the trees, so it looked as if it was a spaghetti tree. And quite a few people were fooled by it, and it was one of those things that for a long time afterwards, and I can't remember whether it was in the 70s or the 80s, I really can't remember. I don't think it was earlier than the 70s. I think it was probably the 80s, but it might have been late 70s. I'm sure one of you will remember and tell me exactly what date it was. And I haven't looked it up. It's just something that came to me. And I thought, you know, this spaghetti tree thing was quite an amusing thing because, as I say, it was a complete April Fool's. Quite often on the news, they will try and do an April Fool's of some sort so that people think, oh, was it? Is it true? Is it whatever? I don't know whether they do it now. I'm not an avid news watcher. I remember when I was quite small and I was, you know, asleep in bed, and I remember my mum coming in and turning around and saying, oh my goodness, get up, have a look out of the window, you're not going to believe this. A fox has dug a huge hole in the garden, absolutely enormous. I don't know whether the fox is still in there. It's a great big huge hole. And of course I pulled the covers off the bed and I raced out of bed and went to look out of the window. And as I looked and I thought, well, there's nothing in the garden, I can't see anything. And she turned around and said, April Fools. And I thought that was quite funny because she got me up out of bed, because obviously I used to like staying in bed underneath the covers till the last minute of having to get up. And she got me racing out of bed, having a look in the garden and seeing the fox that wasn't the fox because it was an April Fool. So have you got any April Fool's jokes that have been played on you? Please leave them in the comments, because as I say, I love reading your comments and I love seeing those things. And again, memories for Mother's Day. What happened to you on Mother's Day? Were you spoilt by your family? Do you remember your mum with fond memories and things of Mother's Day, or a memory that you'd like to share? Again, I read every single comment, and I must admit, I reply to every single comment that I can. And I say every single comment that I can because the bacon and onion roly-poly pudding, suet pudding, my goodness, it's up to something like 64,000 views. And I've had 1,100 new subscribers recently for my food and my blogs and things, which thank you and welcome to all of you. And this is very much community. I've always said that. I love comments, and I know that people like comments as well and will add their comments to other people's comments, and it's sort of a rolling thing, which I think is really rather nice. So please comment if you can, and yes, you will find that on a Monday I always do this sort of weekly vlog, which is just me sort of chatting about a couple of topics and things that I find of interest, and you know, just literally that's it. And also letting you know what's going to be happening this week on my videos, so you can go like, oh, I need to remember to look at that one on Friday. So on that vein, this Friday I'm doing it's a cherry biscuit. So it's a biscuit and it's got chopped cherries in. I think you could probably put anything you wanted. You could have chocolate chips, you could have nuts, you could have sultanas, currants, raisins, that sort of thing in there, chopped apricots, all sorts of bits and pieces. I just happen to have some glacé cherries, and I thought all cherries would be quite nice. So it's a cherry biscuit, or a biscuit recipe that's got cherries in. Very simple, very easy as always, and I hope that's one that you will enjoy. The other thing as well that happened, so as I say, three things are happening very close together, was that yesterday, Saturday night, Sunday morning, I think it's 2 o'clock in the morning, we go over to British summertime. So it means that the clocks, they always say spring forward, fall back. So in the spring, the clocks go forward 1 hour, which means we lose an hour's sleep. And in the winter, the clocks go back an hour. So they say fall because we call it autumn, but it's always fall back because fall is another term for autumn around the world, in America particularly. So it was spring forward because the clocks went forward 1 hour, which meant that we lost an hour's sleep. But it meant that we could, I've been getting up earlier and earlier in the morning because I tend to rely on my body clock, and the sun rises literally into my bedroom window every morning. And yes, I could have blackout curtains and things like that. I don't. I happen to like the sun coming in first thing in the morning, and I like to see the moon last thing at night. So the sun came streaming in, and I've been waking up earlier and earlier and earlier. As I said to you, I take my dog for a walk every morning at 7 o'clock. So I've been waking up at 6 o'clock. And then sort of sitting in bed and either reading for an hour, because I don't like to take my dog out too early. Whereas, of course, now the clocks have gone forward. So what is 6 o'clock is now 7 o'clock, which meant that this morning I was able to get up. I woke up at about 6:45, so I literally just sat in bed for sort of 10-15 minutes, and then I got up and I took my dog for a walk, and it was lovely. So it means as well that it is lighter in the evenings as well, so it won't be getting dark until 7 o'clock or so now, whereas last week it was getting dark at sort of 6:30, so it's now going to be 7:30. And then we go right the way through till Midsummer's Day, which is the 21st of June, which then is summer solstice, Midsummer's Day, and that is when we have the longest day and the shortest night. So not that far away actually, because as I say, tomorrow is April. So we've got April, May, June, well, I suppose 3 months. So, and the weather's supposed to get nice and warm this week as well. So I think it's going to get up to 18, 19 degrees, which will be lovely. It means I can spend more time out in the garden, which I really love. It means I'll be doing less time sewing, but I don't really mind that so much. So those are the 3 things that happened this week. I don't quite know what I'm going to do on Wednesday for my Wednesday video. I haven't really thought about it yet. Something will probably crop up, or it might not. We might only have 2 this week. But whatever you're doing, please stay safe and well. Please be kind to everybody, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.